folks, and welcome to Garbage Theater. Tonight's installment, The Mummy. Not the Bela Lugosi mummy, not even the Brendan Fraser mummy. A whole different kind of mummy. I'm your host Chase with my co-hosts Blake and John.
Hello.
Hey.
All right. Yeah. I may be in the minority here. It wasn't a bad movie.
It was pretty
dumb,
bad. Though. It was really dumb, though.
Okay.
And let's not forget the point that this movie was totally pointless to make. Not just because it failed and killed the Dark Universe. It was pointless to begin with. But it's super pointless now.
Look, I'm one of those people that I just pop it. I'll just put on a movie just because. And this is like not the worst thing I've seen on my own at all.
If I hadn't, had to pay attention to this movie would have joined the long line of movies like Geostorm and Rampage and The Meg that I fell asleep 30 minutes into and woke up 20 minutes out.
Well, full disclosure, I fell asleep at the end. But I didn't think it was a terrible movie. Like honestly, I was enjoying it until the Mummy come out.
So before it was even a Mummy movie, it was fine.
Well, not like okay, she was out. I mean, like whenever she was like fully powered up, that's when it lost me.
Okay.
But up until then, I was like, kind of cool.
Well, agree to disagree.
There were moments, I liked all the monsters. I thought they all looked pretty cool. The zombies and stuff.
Well, it had money.
The way they move.
It definitely had money.
Yeah.
But
it's still really dumb though.
And it was such a Tom Cruise movie. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yes.
It's every genre all at once. Like it's supposed to be a horror movie, but it's actually an action movie and a comedy.
Yeah, and the ridiculous Nathan Drake levels of luck this guy has.
Yeah.
With being thrown through, he gets sucked into the carburetor of the car and spit out the exhaust pipe, and it's like this shit is impossible.
Even with all that going on, I think the only part I rolled my eyes at was Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe out of fucking nowhere. And not only that, I'm going to spoil it. I don't give a shit. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde out of nowhere.
Well, whenever it said Dr. Jekyll, that's when I rolled my eyes. I was like, "Oh, come on."
Yeah.
I started
the sad part too is though I kind of liked him. I liked him as Mr. Hyde. I thought he was great as Mr. Hyde. He just shouldn't have been in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked cool. I thought his eyes looked really creepy and shit whenever he was Mr. Hyde. But, it's like I said, it wasn't terrible.
It's just them trying to force all these monsters together into a Avengers-esque scenario, and
I think what pisses me off more has nothing to do with the movie. What pisses me off is this is automatically going to be my front runner for my apologies too because of John.
It's tough too because we're in a position where we've seen the bottom of the barrel and everything else is better by comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're skewed. Our vision is skewed of what a really bad movie is.
It's just
I'll give you that.
The whole idea behind this universe is something like it would have been cool back when we were 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just not.
Well, maybe this wasn't for you, Chase. Maybe no, it's not for our generation.
Why even bother with a connected Universal Monsters universe when we already have Monster Squad and it's perfect?
Exactly. Monster Squad's it.
That's it. They already did it.
And there's no rhyme or reason to why all those creatures are together. They just are. We don't need elaborate backstory.
I think if we watch that movie without the veil of member berries in it.
don't know
No,
about
dude,
that.
the movie's
No.
great.
No.
It's great.
John and I watched Monster Squad over and over again in college. That's not that long ago. It holds up.
I'm aware.
No, I've
but
watched it at least twice since college.
Yeah. I
It's
own
great.
it. I've got the Blu-ray of it.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Let's see. I watched it a few years back, and what I took away from it was, man, I don't remember wanting that little girl to die when I was a kid.
The one that Dracula calls a bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, when he's holding her, I'm like, just do it, Drac, do it.
Yeah. So this movie, Monster Squad, it was not.
No. No.
I don't know if Tom Cruise was going for Monster Squad, but he failed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to know, I mean, were they going for Brendan Fraser Mummy, or were they going for 30s Mummy?
I think it was, you know, Mummy proper, not Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Well, they did
Because it's got more in common with Brendan Fraser Mummy.
They straight up lifted the face made out of sand thing from Brendan Fraser Mummy.
Well, I think they were just taking what works, you know?
Well, what works was Brendan Fraser. They didn't take him.
And like a sort of believable romance between the two main characters.
You know, and that's another weird thing. I was rooting for Tom Cruise to, like, side with the mummy, which was weird.
That would have been interesting, at least.
That's what I was rooting for. Anyway, we probably should start talking about the movie.
Let's just get into it, yeah. My notes aren't going to read that funny because the movie was just stale and I really couldn't do much with it. So I hope you guys got something because I'm just going to kind of trudge through it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to shit on it.
Okay, so we open up on the Dark Universe logo that some poor effects slob wasted a ton of time creating.
The balls on these guys, like putting the Dark Universe thing right in the movie one, assuming the success.
God. Well, wasn't Dracula Untold technically movie one?
I guess, but I don't know if they count it.
What the hell is Dracula Untold?
Exactly.
Was I Frankenstein supposed to be in there too?
Why not? Let's throw that pile of shit in here too.
I'm serious. Like, I think it might have been another attempt, but whatever.
Once again, what's I Frankenstein?
Poor Thomas Jane.
But yeah, it's Thomas Jane is like...
Thomas Jane, you're worth so much more. Don't just take anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I Frankenstein was a failed Thomas Jane movie where he's Frankenstein, but he's also like a superhero.
Oh, yeah, I remember that now. Okay, all right, I get you.
Dracula Untold was the origin of Dracula, played by the dude that plays Bard in Hobbit. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
Gaston.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It flopped terribly too. And I want to say that was technically going to be the first movie of the Dark Universe, and it did terrible, so they decided to not count it.
Right.
And let's just reboot the Dark Universe because the first movie failed. On to the Mummy. Up shit. It'd be like if Iron Man starts, Iron Man 1, and it opens with the scene with Thanos. Like, we're going to get there, folks. Oh, Lord.
Oh, man.
So, we then go from the Dark Universe logo to a quote. Death is but a doorway. Time is but a window. I'll be back. Vigo the Carpathian. Or some shit like that. It was close enough. Cut to 1127 AD England, and the Templar Knights place a blood-red gem on a dead guy and seal him up in a tomb. And a few minutes later, a giant pneumatic drill bores its way into the chamber.
And some guy's like, "Ah, shit." It's like accidentally found this.
Yeah. So, London's building this new underground rail system and accidentally stumbled upon this Templar tomb.
They wouldn't have some kind of like, survey with like sonar readings of what's going on under the ground.
They wouldn't.
Let me give you the long answer to that with my construction background.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Russell Crowe, who we're going to later find out is Dr. Goddamn Jekyll, arrives with his G-Man and send the blue-collar workers away. And he finds a mysterious symbol on the wall and narrates the story of Princess Amenet, the sole heir to the kingdom of Egypt, until the pharaoh had a son. And so she makes a pact with Set, the god of death, and she does some ritual in a room full of upside-down birds, and some creepy skeleton dude gives her a knife with that gem in the handle of it. And when she takes it, her body becomes inscribed with symbols, and she gets some new irises in her eyes.
See, like back in those days, they didn't have those cool like contact lenses that make your eyes look weird and stuff.
Yeah.
So you had to make a pact with the god of death to get that kind of shit.
So she murders the pharaoh and his infant son, and she was going to pass on Set into a mortal man's body, but the pharaoh guard stopped her before she could finish doing the ritual or something. So they mummify her alive and bury her far away from Egypt. So there you go. You got your backstory out of the way.
So my issue with this is that it's really clumsy exposition. And I have a lot of questions about how Russell Crowe knows any of this stuff. Because, okay, so he's expositing all of this to himself, I guess. I don't know.
To you, the viewer.
Yeah, he's talking directly to you. So they go into this chamber full of Templar knights. For some reason, there's like a bunch of hieroglyphs in there. Egyptian hieroglyphs. He talking about a story that was lost to time, but then recounts the story that nobody's supposed to know. Like, I don't understand.
Well, I was trying to look closely at the symbol on the wall because I was really expecting, like, it's a circular pattern made of smaller circles. And I thought for sure each circle was going to have like a picture of Dracula, a picture of the Wolfman, a picture of Frankenstein. Like that's the route we were going to go from the jump on this thing.
They do that shit later.
Yeah. So that's what I was thinking was going to happen. And he's Nick Fury of this universe.
Yeah. He
knows everything, and he's going to bring everybody together to do something.
I would have been on board with that almost. Like if it was just a little bit dumber, maybe like it could have been fun.
If they just leaned into the dumbness of this whole idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad John said that because when Chase was describing all the circles with all the people in it, I was thinking, man, that would have made it so much better. I think I've just finally become that dumb fucking moviegoer. Like, that's what this has done to me.
It really, I mean, doing the podcast, it really has pushed our threshold for bad, like, way to the bottom.
Yeah.
Even a movie that just, in the slightest bit tries, is amazing compared to...
Yeah, like, I went back and us, like, raining down praise on street trash. What the hell's wrong? And now I'm sitting here saying, yeah, the mummy wasn't fucking bad.
This movie was put together pretty well. So, cut to present-day Mesopotamia, a.k.a. Iraq. Some men are destroying an ancient monument with machine guns as Tom Cruise and his sidekick watch on. And Tom says that they need to intervene, and the excuse he gives is a more wordy and lame version of "It belongs in a museum." So, before you know it, they're in a firefight in a nearby village, and it's full-blown action movie. They call in an airstrike and abandon their guns, and they're scattering across the rooftops. There's explosions goddamn everywhere. They're about to give up hope, and the airstrike hits, and the Iraqi men flee. A giant sinkhole opens up in the middle of the town, and nearly sucks the two of them down, but it reveals this statue. And it's is it the city of Haram or something called Haram? And that's where they buried Amenet, apparently.
Yeah, so I thought it was the name of the city.
It's a big deal.
The size of this like sinkhole and the caverns underneath the city. It's a wonder that town didn't sink into the desert long ago.
Yeah. Considering that, it seems to just be sitting on a mound of sand.
That's what I was about to say. Sand isn't known for having cavernous insides.
Yeah. So the rest of the military arrive, and Colonel Greenway gives Nick and Vale, which is Tom Cruise and Jake Johnson's characters, gives them the what for when a woman, Jenny Halsey...
Oh, you mean Apone?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, he was wearing sunglasses, or he was wearing glasses, and I was like, was that Apone though?
There's no way. No. That was shit, what's his name? I looked him up not long ago. He played Johnny Cochran in the American Crime Story, OJ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Jenny Halsey arrives and slaps Nick in the face and accusing him of stealing her map to Haram, and the discovery of Haram is of significance, so they need to secure the village, and then they send Nick, Vale, and Jenny down to investigate, because why not? Once down there, they notice that mercury is just dripping down from the ceiling into holes in the ground, making a canal system leading to a chamber with a huge hole filled with mercury, surrounded by Anubis statues. And where is this mercury coming from?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
No idea.
We've already established that it's just sand above, and then the town is the. Where's this unlimited supply of mercury pouring from?
Okay, and if it'd been pouring for thousands of years, that thing would have overflowed.
Unless there's some irrigation system set up to where
unless you got a water pump at the bottom of that thing, and it's pumping it back up to the top.
Those tricksy Egyptians, they had some contraptions back then.
I don't. There's tons of inaccurate information, like liquid mercury isn't really a thing in nature, like just natural liquid mercury. Oh man. So this girl, this woman is she killed the pharaoh, and the pharaoh's kid. I mean, she got like this dishonorable burial, which they didn't mummify. They wouldn't mummify you if you're a murderer.
No. It's what they call in the Navy the big chicken dinner. It's a bad conduct discharge.
Yeah. So and then they dug this incredible hole and like built all these statues and stuff. I mean, she would have died of natural causes before they even finished building this thing. Just put her stupid body in.
But wasn't she already imbued with some sort of supernatural power, though?
Okay. Don't even get me started on the mummy's powers. Because for being, this all-powerful, unholy being, apparently ropes are enough to stifle her. Just tie her up. She's fine. No harm will come to anyone. See, they just chain her up in a room later.
Well, she's got mercury. There's mercury around.
Oh, bullshit.
Yeah. And plus, those are Jekyll chains or Jekyll ropes.
Yeah, stick a thermometer up her ass and everything's fine.
Pending Jekyll ropes.
I was about to say Jekyll ropes trademark.
Oh, Christ. So they're in the chamber. Jenny sees that there's all these priests surrounding her. So they mummified priests and buried them around her. So again, were these priests already dead and ready to go?
Well,
did they keep dropping priests in as they died off?
No, I mean, look, now I agree, she wouldn't have had the big ceremonial tomb, but whenever pharaohs died, their servants went with them. And
yeah, but she was never pharaoh.
I know, but she was a supernatural being that they didn't want getting back out. Which I got a whole nother thing about that when we get to the whole mechanism keeping her down.
Did these priests volunteer to be mummified early?
Yeah.
To keep her... Okay.
That's a thing.
Hey, I'm not going to argue.
They didn't care about death, them people.
Them people.
Quite frankly, you wouldn't care about it either. You realize how much it must have stunk in the past?
I bet the Egyptians smelled pretty good, though. I bet they rocked, like, nice oils and stuff.
I doubt it. It was hot as balls.
Well, I mean, maybe not your average, shit-slinging Egyptian, but, like, the Pharaoh probably smelled great.
I doubt it.
So Greenway radios in and tells them that they need to head out because there's bogeys inbound. Nice generic bogeys. Jenny refuses to leave, and she and Vale argue for a little bit. So Nick just shoots the contraption, dropping a counterweight that brings up the tomb. It's this ridiculous Pee Wee Herman contraption. He shoots the rope, it kicks a cat in the ass, the cat scares a bat. It's
And see, this is the issue I have. They specifically say these chains aren't meant to bring this thing up. It's meant to keep it down. Yet the whole contraption is there to bring it up.
just waiting.
Yeah, there should be no way to bring it up.
Right. It said those are things that are supposed to keep it down. Yet there's a counterweight that's only held together by a rope, not even a Jekyll rope. And if that goes, the whole thing lifts up.
Yep.
And I venture to say that rope would have not lasted thousands of years in that damp cave. It would have dry rotted, and that thing would have come up on its own anyway.
Apparently, like, the buoyancy in liquid mercury is such that there's no way they would have been able to keep it down anyway. Like,
you can't sink in mercury?
No.
Well, there you go.
I mean, you'd have to be weighted down, which I don't think it was.
If anything, it was weighted up.
Yeah.
Wow. Movie, anyway. A simple Google search.
Well, no, that's what the counterweight was keeping it down. Because as soon as that counterweight lifted, it floated up. See, y'all are looking at this thing all wrong. This thing's like watertight.
The counterweight was...
It didn't float, it pulled it up.
Down.
Because it came completely out of the mercury. If it would have just like bobbled up and down like a cauliflower, then okay, that's one thing.
But it was holding it down.
It doesn't make any sense.
This contraption is mercury tight.
Okay.
So the tomb rises up. As it rises up, thousands of camel spiders come pouring out of the walls. One bites Vale, and he decides to try to murder everyone in the room by randomly shooting his machine gun all over at these little tiny bugs.
Aren't camel spiders big?
Yes.
They're not as big as that stupid picture on the internet is.
No.
Well, no.
It's forced perspective. It's ridiculous.
No, not that. Not that thing. But
no, they are big.
I'd be freaking out.
They can get big, but I mean, they're not like, leg-sized monsters.
No.
I mean, I think I would have done the same thing that Vale did, because I saw a video of a camel spider like sawing a lizard's head off. So
yeah, I
was like, nope.
They're vicious. Shits. I mean, I've caught them in the wild before. They're vicious, but I
would just love for somebody to dub over him shooting at the things with Chris Farley saying, "Your firearms are useless against them."
And can we end the conflation of poisonous and venomous?
Yes,
because
thank you.
Tom Cruise says they're not even poisonous, and I'm like, no, they're not. They wouldn't be. They would be venomous, sir.
They're venomous. That's not how it works. Snakes are poisonous. They're venomous.
Well, fuck me. I guess I'm an idiot.
Dart frogs are poisonous, not venomous.
See, that's too much confusion.
If it bites you and you die, that's venomous. If
venom.
You bite it and you die, it's poisonous.
Ah, see, I'm learning something.
Venom is a weapon. Poison is a defense mechanism.
Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah, my Bureau's education didn't teach me any of these things.
So Nick stares at the sarcophagus and has visions of Amunet in the desert. She calls him her chosen one before Jenny snaps him out of it. Just part one of the many, many, many visions that are going to haunt this movie. They haul the sarcophagus out of the tomb, and crows surround the operation, and they follow the chopper that's hauling the sarcophagus out. Vale's starting to look a little worse for wear. He's got these black veins sprouting from his spider bite on his neck that nobody questions.
Yeah. Not even a like, you okay, man?
Yeah.
Your neck is fucked up.
They land, load the sarcophagus onto a cargo plane as a huge sandstorm approaches, and they take off just as it reaches them. Inside, Nick and Jenny have a little lover's quarrel, while Vale is looking worse for wear and pretty much looks like he died.
Yeah.
His eyes roll in the back of his head as he lays there trembling. No one's paying attention to him.
Everyone's busy.
Jenny's making notes on the hieroglyphics on the sarcophagus. Nick has more visions, but wakes up to see Vale standing over the sarcophagus. Greenway gets up and questions him, and Vale just starts stabbing him in the chest repeatedly. The other Marines draw their guns. Nick disarms one of them, but Vale starts slashing away at Nick and forces Nick to shoot him twice. He drops to the ground, and Nick shoots him again, just 'cause.
Is it an accident? I don't know.
And just before this happens is when Jenny's like screaming about, "Nobody shoot, we're in a pressurized plane." And then the bullets start flying.
Can we talk a little bit about like Tom Cruise's character here? Because
Sure.
like it's weird, right? I mean, they have this like playful banter thing, him and Vale, and it seems like he's trying to play a much younger character, which is pretty Tom Cruise. But he's like 70 years old at this point. Like, he can't do this anymore. And for him to be this old and be this kind of careless, naive, like devil-may-care attitude, I just don't buy it, you know?
No.
He's the chosen one.
Somebody, like, I mean, I mentioned it earlier, but somebody played too much Uncharted when they wrote this character. Let's just make him Nathan Drake. Except, you know, he's an old midget.
He's the chosen one. That's all that needs to be said.
Yeah, I mean, he's old enough to be like Jake Johnson's father. It's like weird.
And later, he has a nude scene, ladies and gentlemen. And while, yes, he's still built, he still looks old.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
like his skin's sagging around those muscles.
Yeah, I wanna look that good when I'm 175. But it was still breaking down.
I mean, you gotta purge them thetans, but
yeah,
you can get there.
Yeah.
So, after he shoots Vale dead, one of the engines on the plane seems to fail. They look out the window and they see that crows are flying into the plane. And then a gigantic flock of thousands of crows slams into the plane, and it's kind of hilarious because the pilot just has this bird on his face.
Just flapping around. Yeah.
So
my note just says, face birds.
The pilot got Fabio'd.
I mean, wouldn't the birds like liquefy going through that glass and not be a whole live ass bird flapping around?
Maybe one of them went through and liquefied, and then another one went through the hole.
Okay, well, that one would have liquefied when it hit him in the face.
Well, then maybe, I don't know.
They're in a goddamn plane.
Maybe it was
flying full
Maybe
clip.
it was like a succession of 50 birds that culminated with that one that stayed whole.
So, Nick and Jenny scramble for a parachute as the plane free falls. Nick pulls the ripcord of Jenny's chute, sending her flying out the hole in the plane. And Nick hangs on as the plane crashes, and it's a very Tom Cruise movie moment.
I was gonna say, like, I really thought this whole sequence was cool. I swear to God, that's happened in
another one.
Like, this whole sequence to me was cool, but this was Tom Cruise's doing.
I swear to God, that exact scene played out in a Mission Impossible
movie.
Yeah,
that's why he did it again.
Where we're in some sort of flying vehicle, watching it crash with him, like, looking out the door, like, going with him. I swear that's happened before.
Yeah, it might have been the Rogue Nation or what it was, the one where he's like hanging on the plane in the trailers. I don't know. There's always plane shit in Mission Impossible movies. But yeah, they're like pumping this thing full of like action as much as possible, and I'm just like, build the tension, like make this a horror movie. This is why I wanted a dark universe, like bring back these monsters and like make them scary again. That would be cool.
Your mummy movie does have mummies, correct? So, cut to a hospital where Jenny's being asked to identify the bodies from the crash. Meanwhile, in the morgue, one of the body bags sits up, and it's Nick, and he rips his way out of it, and Vale appears behind him and starts talking to him, and it's this weird, like, goofball kind of interaction that him and Vale have throughout the rest of the movie, where he's seeing his dead friend, and I'm trying to think of the movie that it was reminding me of.
American Werewolf
in London.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a blatant ripoff.
Yeah.
So, Jenny walks in and they startle him, and he asks for the man in charge. We cut away from that to the wreckage of the wing of the plane that blew off earlier, that landed miles away from the rest of the plane. A couple of officers inspect the area, and they find the sarcophagus open, and crows are everywhere. One of them finds the mummy and calls out to his partner before she comes to life and grabs him and desiccates him. His partner's soon to follow as the mummy grabs him and sucks the life out of his mouth. Amunet starts to regain form as she wills the mummified officers back to life as like zombie slaves.
This was kind of cool stuff here.
Yeah.
This was all right.
Yeah.
I can see Blake's point in this part being, okay, this little snippet right here would work in a different mummy movie.
Like, it looked cool. Like, it was cool shit.
Yeah. I mean, I started to wish that they'd gone full R rating, because like they were doing stuff that was kind of gross, and I would have liked them to be a little bit more gross.
And you know, John, I think you're right. If they would have went more the horror route, like how after she sucked the life out of the things, how they stood up and they were walking all weird and stuff, like they'd have had more of that going on. Like it could have been a really creepy like visual to it, you know?
For sure.
Oh well, what could have been?
Alas. No, we're not gonna have, creepy, ominous, lurching mummies. No, this is not for these kids today. We gotta sexy the mummy up. Let's make her a half-naked lady through the most of the movie.
You gotta want to fuck the mummy.
Everybody remembers that famous L. Ron Hubbard quote, "You gotta want to fuck the mummy."
So, meanwhile, at a nearby pub, Nick's putting away shots with Jenny, and he's got more visions of Vale, like, beckoning him to go and talk to him. Jenny tells Nick about the dagger of Set that she and her archaeology cronies have been searching for, and it's got the power to give Set physical form, and she thinks it's somewhere in Europe. And it's revealed that Dr. Jekylls' group found the stone from the dagger, and Nick excuses himself, and Jenny calls Dr. Jekyll on the phone. Nick goes in the bathroom and has a conversation with Vale through the mirror, and he tries to explain this whole thing off as he's crazy from mercury poisoning. But Vale insists that it's real and that he and Nick are cursed, and he says that Amunet has plans for him and he can't escape her. So Nick goes out into the alley to clear his head when he notices rats are starting to swarm all around, and the mummy appears and starts making her way towards Nick. An army of rats swarm him, and Amunet descends upon him, but it's revealed to be another goddamn vision, and Jenny pulls him out of the street before he's hit by a car. He tries to explain to her that they're cursed for taking the sarcophagus, and they need to find it so that he can see her corpse still in it to be sure that he's not going crazy. Later, Amunet's sucking the life out of more police when Nick and Jenny arrive. They go into this ruined church, and he's got more visions and appears inside of a cathedral, and mummies scurry all around and tackle him to the ground, and they place him on an altar, and Amunet leaps up on top of him. She begins the ritual to bring Set into his body, and she smashes the angel statue on the altar, revealing the dagger of Set inside of it, conveniently.
I just don't get this stuff. Like, why did the church keep these artifacts? I mean, did they know about the ritual and stuff about Set? And like, if they think that the Egyptian god of death is real. Like, why are they still Christian?
Well, see, that's the whole thing. This movie pretty much proves that the Egyptians were right.
Yeah.
Rendering all other religions
You would
moot.
question everything if you knew this to be true.
That's a point that it didn't even cross my mind because this movie was so goddamn stupid.
Well, the only question I had in my mind is like, am I the only one that's chubbing up at the sight of a mummy?
No, you were not.
So she's starting the ritual. She smashes the statue, gets the dagger, and she stops just short of stabbing him in the chest when she notices that the jewel is missing from the handle of the dagger. That's when Jenny walks in and catches them all in the act. Nick fights off the zombie mummies as Aminette goes after Jenny. She gets Jenny pinned to a wall, and right when she's about to drain her, Nick gets the dagger and stabs Aminette in the back, and they scamper away. They jump into an ambulance outside and drive off, and as they're arguing, Nick realizes that he drives a full circle right back to the church because Aminette's controlling him subconsciously. Boo. The zombies fight their way into the ambulance and run it off the road, and it's just a long, drawn-out action sequence. The ambulance goes tumbling down the road, and it's that fucking Tom Cruise bullshit where we see him like flying through the ambulance. He gets thrown out of the ambulance, and he's magically just perfectly okay.
Well, this
not
is
hurting the slightest bit.
So, I mean, they established that he kind of can't be hurt because of the like plane crash,
which is stupid.
So that's fine, but then they don't really have fun with it like they could, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it just because he later, like in the fights that he has with her, like he gets slammed into like concrete tombs where he's clearly landing on his neck, and it's just why even do it?
Why even do which part?
Why is she even fighting him if she knows that?
Oh yeah, yeah. And I just can't be down with these like battles with ancient evil just being like brawls, like physical brawls. I don't know. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yep. I'm with you. Lopan never threw a punch.
Right. And that's why Kurt Russell's character was like kind of useless in that movie. Like he couldn't really do anything. He could fight, but
didn't even have a 6-demon bag.
Yeah. Didn't work again. You can't just fight the three storms. They blow those Nerf balls into your gut.
Tell me about it.
So,
can we watch Big Trouble in Little China next week? I mean, shit, we watched a good movie this week.
Fantastic movie. We did not. And damn you for comparing Big Trouble in Little China to this.
Damn you, sir.
So, at this point, Dr. Jekyll's men arrive, and they all harpoon Aminette. Oh, that's it. That's your kryptonite. Harpoons.
They got an elite mummy containment unit.
This movie is stupid.
It's so dumb.
So they harpoon her, and that's all it takes, and they tranquilize Nick and take him away. Later at Henry's secret base, Henry Jekyll, his secret base, Nick's taken through a room full of specimen jars, filled with all the failed hopes and dreams of Universal Studios. There's a vampire skull and the Gill Man's hand, etc., etc.
It's like old trophy room.
So he gets dropped off in this large office filled with surgical tools, and Dr. Jekyll comes out, and this is where he reveals himself to be Dr. Jekyll, and here we
initiate eye roll.
This is really the point where the movie gets really dumb. It's from here on is the massive stupid.
I mean, other than the character being in it, but I was just getting pangs back to League of Extraordinary Gentlemen and how stupid that movie was.
Yeah, it's not far off.
I know that was based on a graphic novel, But I mean,
but the graphic novel is good though.
Yeah,
a good graphic novel doesn't always make a good movie though.
No.
So he explains to Nick that he's got this disease that causes him to have a thirst for chaos and the suffering of others. And his hand starts to get all gray and scaly, and he starts to get a Cockney accent. And so, something bad's about to happen. So he injects himself with the serum, and he returns to normal.
He was really cutting it close there. I mean, he was like half transformed. It's like, you can't play around with this Mr. Hyde shit.
So Dr. Jekyll takes Nick into the next room where Aminette's being held captive. Again, Jekyll ropes.
Trademark.
He explains this is where he lays out that, they're this universe's version of S.H.I.E.L.D., basically, and they're here to fight monsters.
Are you guys familiar with the SCP Foundation?
No.
It's like a creepypasta project online. Oh, anyway, it's about containing dangerous objects and creatures. And I was like, oh shit, Dr. Jekyll runs the SCP Foundation.
So Aminette speaks to Nick and tells him her story, and that she only wanted her father's love and to give Nick eternal life as set, and she'll be his queen forever if he just submits. Henry's men finally locate the tomb in the chamber with the jewel needed for the dagger of Set. Aminette tells Jenny that they found the stone and that Henry's men are going to kill Nick. And
I think if I was Nick, though, I would have taken her up on her offer. I mean, what else does he got going for him? I'm like, okay, I can live with these superpowers and, rule the world with this chick. Or I can go back to robbing tombs.
Robbing tombs as a 4-foot-tall, 78-year-old man.
Wait, hold on. Maybe Tom Cruise made this deal, and that's why he's not aging properly.
This is a biography.
That's what it is. Everything that takes place in this movie started directly after Top Gun wrapped.
So, in the next room, Nick's having a drink with Dr. Jekyll. And
wait a minute, did you skip the part where Dr. Jekyll essentially says they're in the evil business?
They're in the evil business, and business is good.
And cousin, business is a boom. Oh my god. A good improv group could do a great bit on like a crappy businessman who's in the evil business. That's right, fellas, I'm in the evil business. Laryl J. Howingston's the name. Here's my card.
It's just this whole concept of this secret force to fight monsters is just so crudely slapped together in this movie.
Yeah, I don't understand. Is it a government thing? Is it a private thing?
Does he ever even give them a name? The Jekyll Force or anything?
Everything's got Jekyll in it. Jekyll ropes, Jekyll Force, Jekyll door, Jekyll car.
That'd be great. Yeah, that'd be good.
Outside, guarding the fence, they have the Jekyll Jackals.
Oh, God. So...
it's cold outside. Grab your Jekyll jacket.
So, while they're having this stupid conversation, Aminette summons a single spider out of the grating on the ground. Dr. Jekyll starts having the shakes. So this serum lasts for what, 15 minutes?
15 minutes.
So he's starting to get the shakes, and he breaks the news to Nick that they're going to intentionally use the dagger to summon Set into his body so they can kill him and kill Set for good. Jekyll goes for his serum as he monologues out his plan. The little spider crawls up into one of the ears of the techs guarding Aminette. Nick takes Jekyll's serum from him and says he's not going to give it back till he gives him some answers. And at that moment, he becomes Hyde. So Nick gives him the serum back, but it's too late now. And the brawl begins as Hyde is far more powerful than Nick.
Hyde looked pretty cool, though. Like, he did look cool.
Yeah, I mean, he had, like, what, blue veins coming out of his, out of his face, and he
his
had, like,
eyes looked all weird.
Contacts.
They did it better than the way that they did it in League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Sure.
Yeah, they
where
went
he just turned into the Hulk, basically.
went full CG in an era where they should not have gone full CG.
So they're brawling. The zombified tech that the spider went in the ear of gets an axe and buries it into the control mechanism that frees Aminette, and Hyde and Nick fight. Aminette vomits mercury everywhere, but I guess to get it out of her system.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know why she can suddenly do that. Her veins are still full of mercury. How long does it take to fill up a mummy full of mercury?
Again, the rules of this creature make no sense whatsoever. About her powers, her weaknesses, nothing. No. I don't understand it.
And they're also not being very cautious. Like, she's just in the middle of a wide open room, you know, chained up with the mercury gone. Like, put her in a fucking cage or something. Yeah. She's gonna get out.
Well, when you're in the evil business, you gotta have something on the show floor.
Oh, no, I'm just browsing, thank you. Great mummy, though.
Yeah. So Nick and Jekyll are still fighting. Nick sees the serum light on the ground and is trying to get to it. Jekyll is like grabbing Nick by like the ribs under his skin,
which was cool.
Yeah, that was all right.
Which seemed painful. But he manages to get away.
To do that to myself after.
Just like, ow.
Let's see if I can do that. So he manages to get to the syringe and plunges it into Hyde's chest and manages to overpower him. Jenny tells Nick that they need to destroy the jewel to stop Aminette's plan. So Aminette breaks free of her bonds, the Jekyll ropes, and summons the sands of Egypt and shatters all the glass in London, because all the glass in London's made out of the sand in Egypt.
Damn, I didn't put that together.
You think?
Because, I mean, glass is just sand.
True.
Yes, I'm going with that.
But is all glass made from sand from Egypt?
Right now, there's some Universal executive that just heard you say that and be like, yeah, that's what we meant.
So, Jekyll's men lock up the jewel and take it away as a sandstorm envelops London and starts tearing things apart. Vale appears to Nick and tells him that he knows where the stone is. Aminette makes her way to the Crusader chamber, and Vale tells Nick that Jenny's going to die because Aminette's never going to let her live, so don't even worry about that. A swarm of Crusader mummies awaken and attack Jekyll's men and let Aminette into the chamber. She surprises Nick and Jenny going through the flooded part of the chamber, grabs Jenny, dives into the water, and swims off with her. I just want to say this. There's nothing less scary than a mummy than a swimming mummy.
Yeah.
Swimming mummies are stupid.
Well,
it's dumb.
I would agree with you, but I was firmly asleep at this point.
I don't see why they wouldn't just fall apart as they waded through the water.
I have no recollection of swimming mummies.
Nick spots Jenny's body floating underwater unconsciously and starts swimming to her when a bunch of mummies appear and grab him and drag him out of the water, where Aminette awaits. Jenny's laying there in the water dead, and the servant mummies all dissolve away. Aminette now alone with Nick. She's got the completed dagger and calls Nick to her. He charges at her, but she slaps him to the ground, and he continues to attack her, so she breaks his leg with a crowbar. She lives...
an ancient, like, cursed mummy just breaks his leg with a crowbar. It's just a physical confrontation.
Yeah. Because she couldn't have just broken his leg with her, super strength that she clearly has. But wait, we just saw him go flying head first into a concrete wall, but yet his leg can break.
I don't know.
Maybe it was a magic crowbar.
Yeah. Why is he worried about being killed at all? He can't be, and he should know this by now.
I know what it was. It was a Jekyll bar.
After he gets his leg broken, he turns it over. It's got Jekyll stamped on it. Yeah. He's like, God damn shit. Jekyll.
So she lifts him up by the throat and tells him to give in. He gives her the old, it's not you, it's not me, it's you line. And she tosses him aside. However, he manages to do the old switcheroo and swipe the dagger from her while she wasn't paying attention. Stupid mummy. He slams the jewel into the ground and it cracks. And Aminet tells him that if she destroys the stone, all will be lost. And she begs him to give her the dagger because, you can still be with me. I can still be your queen. You can still have power over death. And when he hears that, he glances over his shoulder at dead Jenny. And he's getting ideas. So he lifts the dagger up, thinking he's going to smash it. But nope, he plunges it into himself. And the jewel goes black. And he grows some extra eyes too. And stands up and approaches Aminet. And he keeps snapping back and forth between being Set and being Nick. When he grabs Aminet by the face and slams her into the wall. He then slams her down onto a tomb and sucks the life out of her, turning her back into the desiccated mummy. He stumbles over to Jenny and tries to revive her, but he can't. So he starts convulsing and then momentarily turns into some kind of monster and screams her awake.
I don't remember any of this.
Like he turns into Melina from Mortal Kombat for a second.
No shit.
Yeah, big yellow eyes, big long teeth. Yeah. So she wakes up.
This whole thing, this whole thing is predicated on this relationship they're supposed to have that no one ever bought into.
No,
I mean
it stems from a one-night stand that was meaningless for him because he was just trying to steal this map.
He fucked her one night and stole something from her.
Yeah, and now he's gonna give up his life to the god of death to save her. I don't know.
That's why I was saying he should have just went along with the plan. What else have you got, dude?
And he's supposed to be a bad person. That's the reason he was chosen by Aminet in the first place, because he's a thief and he's a scumbag. Yeah. But they never really... The worst thing he ever did was steal some antiquities or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's also supposed to have a heart of gold. He's a good man struggling to get out. But we never see that either. It's terrible. This is the worst drawn character.
Well, I guess you can't have the chosen one seen in a bad light. And by chosen one, I mean Scientology's chosen one, not the movie's chosen.
Right.
So she wakes up and gets up to see Aminet's dried up corpse on the ground. She hears Nick and runs over to him. He's standing in the shadows, and he tells her to stay away because he doesn't want to hurt her. And he tells her that they're going to be coming for him and that I'll find you someday later. And she hears Jekyll's men approach and turns around for a second. And when she turns back, Nick's gone. Back at Jekyll's HQ, they're preparing to seal Aminet away
back
again.
Back at the Triskelion.
They're about to seal Aminet away again in Mercury. And Jekyll tells Jenny that Nick's a monster now, and he's only beginning to discover his powers. Jesus Christ. So, cut to Nick in the desert with Vale, and the dialogue, okay, so Vale's back. He's not a vision anymore, and they just one line away the reason why he's back. I mean, thanks for bringing me back to life and all. Fuck you, movie.
It sucks.
I mean, they could have left it as, you still could have had him look the exact same way, but then leave the movie wondering, was he just still in his mind or was he really there?
Yeah, no. We got to explain to these people.
Yeah, we're going to explain to you exactly what he's doing there.
I appreciate you bringing me back to life, but what are we doing back out in the desert? So they're going off on some grand adventure to find a cure for his curse of being the god of death.
Yeah, a cure for being awesome.
Fucking cool powers.
But evil will always be calling for him. And Jenny says, well, he could be a powerful ally someday. And Jekyll agrees, saying sometimes it takes a monster to fight a monster. Fuck you.
And also the music. There's something about this part of the movie. The music sounds almost exactly like Hans Zimmer's Batman score. Like at the end of Dark Knight. I'm serious. So like when it's exactly the same. And it's like Jekyll talking about how he's like, he's learning about his powers and he's like not the hero we need right now or some crap. Like he's doing he's
the hero we
just
deserve.
Like the end of Dark Knight.
And then Nick rides his motorcycle pod through the light of the
rides a horse.
So Nick and Vale ride away toward the Great Pyramids, Sandstorm in tow behind them. Roll credits.
Yeah,
this is not what episode 2 is supposed to be, John.
I'm sorry. Would you prefer I found some enormous pile of dog shit?
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Don't even know.
Oh, Christ. Okay, we have to do the questions, and I am not in good shape because I didn't care to pull details out of this.
Yeah.
So I'm legitimately worried for myself.
Well, at least you are awake.
All right, I'll try to pick I feel like my questions are hard. I'm gonna try to pick the easiest ones for you.
Christ.
All right, you guys all set?
Pick the hard ones, man. Why not?
I don't have a double feature one ready for to like drop on you guys. So I'd prefer you just got at least one.
Can we put a pin in this for a second and let's just discuss the whole double feature punishment just for a second?
Sure.
Can we just get rid of it?
That's fine with me.
Because
yes,
I don't think it's fun for anyone, the audience included.
No, I'm fine with getting rid of it.
Because A, they're not watching the movie. I'm almost perfectly fine with just saying, I'm never going to watch it. Just take my 5 goddamn points away. So can we just get rid of this terrible idea forever?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's
double
fine.
feature is officially dead. Moving on. Questions, John.
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. All right. Question 1. How many statues surround the Mercury pool that Amunet is in?
I knew I should have paid attention to that.
It's between 2 numbers. I probably guessed the wrong one. Okay.
Let's see. How many shots do we see Nick take when he and Jenny are in the pub?
I knew I should have paid attention to that too.
Shit. God damn it. All right.
Question 3. What is the name of Jekyll's facility?
I got an answer. It's not the one you want.
Question 4. At what temperature will the mercury they're pumping into Amunet solidify?
Fuck. Hold on.
No Google.
I'm not. Alright.
And question 5. What is the name of the technician who helps Aminette escape?
Alright, I think I have...
There's a very
0.
good chance I have 0.
Jeez. Alright, so how many statues?
If I might have guessed some of these numbers, but...
how many statues?
I said 4, but it could have been 6, but I'm going with 4.
I'm gonna say it was 7.
Oh, 6.
Shit!
Oh,
Son of a bitch!
How many shots does Nick take?
5.
I'm gonna say 3.
It was 3.
Yes! I have a point. I just wanted something.
What is the name of Jekylls' facility?
The Jekyll Cave.
The Jekyll-drome.
What'd you say, Blake?
The Jekyll Cave.
It was Prodigium.
Nah, it's not as good.
No. I put it in there because it... we didn't talk about it, but he has to explain how clever he is for naming it Prodigium from the Latin warning of monsters. I'm like, shut the fuck up. At what temperature will the mercury solidify?
12 degrees.
40 degrees. I don't fucking know.
Oh, 38 degrees. Very close. And what is the name of the technician?
Frank.
Eerie.
It was Pete.
Ah.
So one for Chase.
Dude, fuck this movie. So the standings right now are Blake and John tied for first with 2 points, and me close behind with 1. I think this is the most low-scoring episode 2 we've had.
Yeah. Well, y'all ready to hear about what we're going to watch?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Coming
sir.
to Trashins time.
Yeah. So, we're going to watch Big Trouble in Little China. Okay,
No, we're not.
Sorry. So, I'm going to explain to y'all why I picked this movie, because that's going to take up all the time that I would usually use explaining the movie, because I went a little different route.
Oh, that's not...
Yeah, it is.
Blake getting experimental with his picks.
It'll be fine. So, I don't have cable. I have a lot of antenna and whatnot. And there's an honest-to-God garbage theater channel on my antenna. It's called Comet. And it's just filled with shitty movies day and night. Some of the movies we've already watched on this channel. Cowboys versus Dinosaurs, it's on there on the regular.
Jesus Christ.
So anyway, I'm sitting there watching Comet. I'm watching some, 1960s Japanese space movie. And a commercial comes on for the channel's premiere of Morons from Outer Space. So I saw 1 minute of a trailer for Morons from Outer Space from 1985, and I said, well, fuck, this is what we're watching.
Wait, is it available anywhere?
Yes.
Please don't say YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
God damn it.
So let me read the thing, the summary. It's very short. A trio of moronic aliens crash land on Earth and become celebrities, while a fourth alien who arrives separately finds himself ignored. Reviews were hard to come by.
Finds himself ignored.
This film could have worked if the jokes were actually funny, but there's not a single one that made me titter.
Who the hell uses titter?
Yeah, I know. Another one got 5 stars. Says pretty funny throughout. 5 stars. Every bit as lame as the title suggests. Avoid.
Avoid.
Not a big fan of British comedies.
It's British?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's going to be dry as fuck.
Yes.
Or the broadest humor possible.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
So there we go.
Oh, I think I can safely say already, this movie is an idiot.
Well, yeah.
Is there a trailer somewhere, or do we have to subscribe to do I have to get up on my roof with some tinfoil and beam down the Comet channel to see this shit?
Pretty much. I mean,
God damn it.
No, you can find a trailer for it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna break protocol a little bit and just say we had to stop for a second recording, and we just watched the trailer, and my God. Yeah. Looks like it's gonna be, on the stupid side of British humor.
Yeah.
Lots of slapstick.
I really like the contrast of Tom Cruise's Mummy to morons from outer space.
Morons from outer space that are just people.
Yeah, no aliens.
No aliens. It's one of those where the aliens just look like straight up human beings.
And the only trivia I found on the movie was that it was originally going to be called Illegal Aliens. And then they changed it to Morons from Outer Space.
It was to be illegal aliens from outer space.
No, just illegal aliens.
Man, it looks to me like the title might be the best part about this thing.
Probably so. Y'all need to get up on the Comet bandwagon, friends, because that show is just, that channel is just nothing but shit.
I get my doses of shit from doing this podcast. I don't need a whole channel on it.
Oh, look, dude, they have so much like old Japanese movies, and it's like it's like the shitty versions of giant robots.
Well, I just found out recently that I get the Shout Factory TV channel, and it's basically wall to wall Power Rangers. Nice. With every now and then a Mystery Science Theater episode thrown in, but it's mostly Power Rangers and Ultraman. I guess that's all they own is Mystery Science Theater, Power Rangers, and Ultraman.
Oh, can we also talk?
Can we
talk what we talked about on our last episode about how we're all wondering how Hellboy was going to be?
Oh, did somebody see Hellboy?
No, apparently nobody else is.
No, I did not see it. It got hit pretty hard by the critics.
Yeah. I haven't been paying attention. What's being said?
I can tell you what is ranked. Let me look it up real quick while y'all talk.
One thing I know is that it's like really, really gory for some reason, which is again like not a Hellboy thing. Mm-hmm. Like Hellboy is not it's not about gore. I honestly don't even know what else they said about it. Just it sounds like it's just kind of lame and forgettable.
Oh, it's at 86% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It is?
No, that's the other Hellboy.
That's not a tragedy.
This Hellboy is standing strong at 15%.
Oof. Yeah, that's no good. So does this one have like the other members of his crew? Do they have Abe in it and all, or is it just him?
I don't think Abe's in it. I know like one of the other guys from the BPRD that can like turn into some kind of cat monster is in it. But yeah, I don't think like any of the guys that like Johan or
I don't think they put any.
What's her name? What's Flame Girl's name? I can't remember her name.
Flame Girl.
Anyway,
is Lobster Johnson in it?
I doubt it.
I heard that he was in it briefly, like a cameo. But then Professor Broom is in it, and he's dead. for some of these other characters to be in it, like he's supposed to be dead. I don't know. Whatever.
Let me read you the first top review for Hellboy.
Shit sandwich.
If it was my call, I'd write nothing about the movie and leave this space blank for reader's notes.
Wow.
Oh well.
Yeah, that's bad.
I just thought it was funny that we talked about that and then immediately turned into a shit show.
What are you gonna do? Maybe we'll do it on the podcast.
It's definitely it's gonna be worse than the Mummy, probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Morons from Outer Space.
Let's put a pin in this one. I'd like to thank everybody for listening. If you can, drop us a review on iTunes. We'd very much appreciate it. You can find us online at facebook.com/Garbage Theater, on Instagram at @garbage_theater, and you can email us directly at garbagetheater podcast@gmail.com with any movie picks that you would like. Send them our way. We'll watch them, probably. I mean, at this point, folks, we would love for you to send things in so that we don't have to put any more mental energy into finding the script, because we're apparently pulling things from Dark Age version TV.
Cord cutting is the future, my friend.
Obscure channels. We're combing Videodrome now to find movies to watch.
I cut the cord too, but I'm not watching goddamn antenna bullshit.
When I never mind, we'll talk about it later about cutting. I don't need to talk about cutting the cord right now.
All right, so on that note, we will see you all next time when we watch Morons from Outer Space. See you then.